What's going on, Niner fam? It's Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and it's kind of a somber Monday. 49ers get their first loss. They're still 3-1, but they go down to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which score was 26-21. 49ers were all the way into it. They were in it all the way to the end. They probably shouldn't have. We're going to get into it. There's a whole bunch of stuff we got to talk about. But before we get into any of it, we got to hit the music. And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Make sure that you hit the like. Make sure that you hit the. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And once again, 49ers lost the game they shouldn't have against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 26-21 the score. And I mean, there's just a lot to talk about. And at a certain point, you got to look at the way that the 49ers season has gone thus far and kind of look at it as the Niners probably should have lost a couple of other games that they played. And as much went wrong in this game, there was so much that, they should have been blown out. If they were playing anybody but the Jaguars, they probably would have gotten blown out. I mean, the Jaguars didn't play well. That it was really who was going to give the other team the game, essentially, towards the end. And it's really kind of a toss-up. Who do you want to blame? I heard a whole lot of blame going around on X and on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And I heard some other stuff on YouTube from various content creators. A lot of people want to blame. They're going to blame Kyle. They're going to blame Purdy. Some people, I don't know how, but some people wanted to blame the defense. But then there's people that want to blame the O-line. There's people that want. There's just so much blame to go around. But the reality of the situation is the 49ers are hurt. They're just pulling guys off the street on a weekly basis just to get through. And with that in mind, we're going to get into the injury report right away because we got another game on Thursday against the Rams. And some of these names aren't necessarily going – some of these names on this injury report are still going to they're going to play probably. But there's a couple of names on here that should worry you if you really think that the 49ers have a chance in this game against the Rams, which I'm not saying it to be negative. I'm not saying that to say that, we're going to lose against the Rams. The 49ers need help. They need help. And but here we go. Down the list. Robert Beal, he did not participate in practice today because of an ankle. Renardo Green, he limited. He participated limited. Hopefully that means he's going to play because we're going to get into the defense a little bit later. But there was a big difference in the defense this week just because of a couple of people that were missing. But and Renardo Green being one of them. Yatir Gross Matos didn't participate today because of a knee. Juwan Jennings did not participate because of an ankle and a rib. Mac Jones, full participation. Good news, really good news. And before anybody says anything, there is no quarterback controversy. Going to get into that again later. But it's just good to to hear that he's full participation in practice because Purdy was obviously hurting during this game, and I think the only reason why he actually played was because Mac Jones was hurt this past week and hurt himself in the last game. So, but good to hear his full participation today in practice. Colton McKivitz full participation with a calf. Ricky Pearsall did not participate. That's not a good sign. With a knee. Brock Purdy did not participate still with the turf toe. Jordan Watkins did not participate. Doesn't matter. We haven't seen him once this year. CJ West did not participate with a thumb. Michael Williams limited participation with a wrist oblique. It's probably good that he got limited participation this early in the week. D Winters limited participation with the knee. Probably good that he had limited participation this early in the week. But those are two names, those last two names that the 49ers defense can really not afford to lose. I'll be honest. On the Rams side, they've got their list is a lot shorter. They've got Steve Avila, a guard, who full participation with an ankle. Rob Havenstein, their tackle, did not participate with an ankle. Tyler Higbee, tight end, did not participate with a hip. Cam Kitchens, safety, limited participation with the shoulder, and Colby Parkinson, tight end, full participation with the shoulder. But very short list for the Rams, and most of those other than Tyler Higbee and Havenstein, well, Steve Avila too. Steve Avila is a pretty good player. Those are two pretty good players, but it's a very short list for the Rams. It's, as you could hear from it was a lot of people for the 49ers. And that's not even counting all the people that were already out. I think those are just the guys that played in this last game. And it's going to be another patchwork performance by the 49ers this week just to get a team ready to play on Thursday. I'm really worried about, not so much about Brock Purdy, because I think that Mac has shown he can come in and play well. But I'm more worried about Michael Williams, D Winters, really worried about Ricky Pearsall, really worried about Juwan Jennings, really worried about Renardo Green. The 49ers are decimated with injuries currently. And as much as we like to say in the NFL that it's a next man up type of thing, it is, you only got so many men. And at a certain point, you're running out of men. So it's really kind of frustrating, I'll be honest, that this team cannot find a way to keep guys on the field. And this is going to be the second year in a row that this team is going to struggle mightily with injuries. Now, I was talking to somebody earlier today about what's the difference between this year and 2024. I don't think there's any difference in the offense when Purdy's in there. I don't see any difference between this year and last year. There's really none. I think the biggest difference and the reason why the 49ers had been able to get wins was because the defense was a lot better. And they kind of fortified that defensive line. The defensive line was stopping the run up until this last week, but then Bosa goes down. And I don't care. Next man up, you don't have a man that's going to give you the same production as Bosa. I know a lot of people get on him about not getting enough sacks. I know people that don't like pressures and like all that kind of stuff, but Bosa gives you a lot in run defense. He's just a really good defensive end. He plays all three downs, and it's a massive loss on that defensive line, and we saw it in the last game. But I'm gonna get to. There was one other thing I wanted to get to before. I'm gonna get to my five main takeaways, but let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna get to my 5 main takeaways first, and I'll tell you, my first main takeaway for this game, it was really it was a tough loss, not because it would be one thing if they got blown out by a better team. It kind of sucks to watch them go down to a team that did everything that they could to give them the game. The Jaguars are not good. I know people are trying to make their defense good. They're not good. I didn't see the 49ers were moving the ball at will. If the 49ers don't shoot themselves in the foot consistently over and over, it wasn't anything the Jaguars were doing. Purdy threw the ball right to them a couple of times. He just made ill-advised throws. He threw one of them. He threw right to the guy, and then the fumbles, and honestly, they could have had another fumble if they recover the one with the CMC fumble. It's just the 49ers kind of shot themselves in the foot over and over again, but it comes back to a lot of those guys would not be playing if the 49ers were healthy. So, yes, the 49ers have to execute better. Yes, Purdy has to play better and throw the ball better. But once again, injuries. He's dealing with turf toe. He probably shouldn't have been playing in that game to begin with. And before anybody says it, yes, uh, yes, he's been paid and he has to play. He has to play better. But I I want to go back to what I've been saying since Purdy first started. And you can look back from the first time he started for the 49ers when he played against Miami. I said that he looked good like for his first mop up, like his first time he came in for Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's kind of small. And I worried about him getting hurt a lot. And could his body hold up? And the 49ers decided to pay him. A lot of people, there were people on both sides saying that they weren't sure if we wanted to pay him because he doesn't have the physical attributes that are going to that up. He doesn't have the physical attributes of a guy that is a traditional, you know, franchise quarterback. Doesn't have a cannon. Doesn't have like the yes, can he scramble? Yes, he can scramble, but like I said, he doesn't have size paws. He doesn't have the can of an arm to get those ball to make all the throws. And when he does put zip on the ball, he has to get his whole entire body into it. Now, with that and to that point, guess what? He's got a toe injury. When he's planning, he can't get his whole body into the throw. And you saw it all game long. He kept floating passes, uh, putting the ball up for grabs, throwing hospital balls, which is not Purdy's normal thing. He just couldn't put anything on the ball. There was nothing. There was no zip, no nothing on the ball, and I feel like his toe just is not. He can't plant, and it's with Purdy. This is the problem, and this is what's going to. I think it's going to be a consistent issue. Not to say that I don't want to be negative about the guy, because when he's on and he's got all of his pieces, he's perfect for Shanny's offense because he's going to run the game plan. He's really good at making those tight window throws, making the reads. He's good at all those things. But because of his physical limitations, it's going to be really hard for him anytime any part of him is injured because he can't get his whole body into the throw. And when he has to make throws outside the hash or whatever the case is to the sidelines, it's going to look weird. In college, he could get away with that. Not in the NFL. It's gonna look weird, and then you couple that with anytime he plays in weather, rain, snow, whatever, it's gonna look weird because he hasn't performed thus far well in the elements. So while I don't want to get down on Purdy, I'm really getting kind of I'm worried. I'm worried about him just being able to make it through a season being able not just to make it through a season, but to be able to play. Because at what time? What time are all those games in the elements? A majority of them are later in the year when we need you the most in the playoffs. Heaven forbid we should play a game outdoors in the playoffs during that time. Like it's gonna look weird. So, but Purdy played terrible. Like I said, floating balls, interceptions. He had an old fumble. He still looks hurt to me, and I'm just giving you the reasons why he cannot play hurt. He cannot. This is what you're going to see when he's playing hurt, and it's a tough loss for the team because that was my second point was the whole Purdy not being able to play hurt. But yes, it was a tough loss. The main thing for my first point was the team played as bad as they could in all three phases. From the offense, they had no problem moving the ball, but they just couldn't they couldn't score, and they did end up scoring 21 points, but they kept shooting themselves in the foot every time they got close. And even then, even when they weren't close, sometimes they would shoot themselves in the foot and give the other team great field position. It was just the turnovers were just too much. And they still, even with the 4 turnovers, they still almost won the game, which goes to show you what the Jaguars are. And I don't want to poo-poo on the Jaguars too much because you got to give them their credit. They won. They won. No matter what, no matter how badly they played, they did enough to win. The 49ers did not. So, but I will say this. They're going to play. They're going to end up playing some better teams, and it's going to be massacres because their quarterback is not good. Trevor Lawrence is not good. I don't care what excuse you want to make for the guy. He's just not that good. And I wanted to, he if they didn't have the running back, what's his name? Travis Etienne. If they didn't have the running back, because Trevor Lawrence went 21 of 31, 174 yards, 1 touchdown, and should have had a pick. We can go into that. I don't know if anybody wants to really go over that again, but I felt like that Upton Stout pick was a pick. Like we can argue about it, but I've seen plenty of times that happening in the league, and it's not called. The other team was I can't argue about penalties because they were penalized a ton. Like the Jaguars were penalized a ton, but it wasn't. They didn't win because of Trevor Lawrence. Let's put it that way. Travis Etienne had 19 carries, 124 yards, 6.5 yards a carry, and a touchdown. They got a special teams touchdown, which should never happen. But once again, the 49ers special teams are cursed. And I feel comfortable saying that it's been going on for years before Shanahan was here. So it's, I just feel like I'm just going to go into every game knowing that the special teams coverage unit is not going to be good. Our return game is not going to be good. It's just not. It's never going to be. And people might say, oh, that's being negative, but that's just facts at this point. That's just facts. And it helps your mental out when you just know it's going to happen. So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence didn't even help him in the run game. He had 7 carries for 7 yards. The 49ers run defense was really apparent that Bosa was not out there. They could not stop the run to save their life without him in the lineup. And yes, it's just really difficult to take a Bosa off the team and expect those young guys to go in there and pick up the pace and pick up that slack. So I wasn't really too surprised once Bosa went down that we gave up that much in the run game. Warner was playing his heart out, but yeah, he can only do so much. What's my third? Oh, that was actually my third. My third key to the game was defense. The defense kept the team in the game without Bosa and Green. And I mean, the defense still played well to keep them in the game. The 49ers, with the turnovers and everything else, they should have been blown. They should have had their doors blown off. If it was one of the better teams in the league, I mean, it wouldn't have even been close. It wouldn't even been close. But the defense kept the team in which the defense has kept this team in games all season long. They're the only reason why the 49ers are 3-1. Period, point blank. And but the other key guy that was missing was Renardo Green, because it caused them to shuffle in the secondary. They shuffle guys around in the secondary, and all of a sudden you've got what's his name? I just said his name just 2 seconds ago. Uh, you had Darrell Luter starting in his place, and it was obvious in Salah's play calling, which we're going to get to Salah in a minute because I have a comment about what happened with him and that other coach. But Darrell Luter, with Darrell Luter in the game, they had to protect him. Salah had to protect him. That's why you saw a lot of off coverage. They were not nearly as aggressive as they had been. And part of that also was not having Bosa in the lineup, because they weren't planning on getting home, which they struggled to get home. They didn't have one quarterback hit. They didn't have one sack, and it showed him not being out there. It just showed it was really almost egregious, the lack of pass rush. And but to Salah's credit, he still held him to 26 points, even though the offense put him in bad position time after time. Even though he was missing all those guys, they still were in the game because of the defense. And once again, Salah just kind of has been earning his money all season long. And but I gotta talk about Upton Stout. Upton Stout is a definite hit as a rookie. That kid is all over the place, and he is just all over the field. He's almost like just another linebacker. Even though he's small, he's like a linebacker, and his coverage is nice. I feel like the only reason why he hasn't been getting calls this year is just because he's a rookie. And whenever you're a rookie out there and you're playing like as physical as he does, you're not going to get calls all the time. In a couple of years, I think we're going to look at Upton Stout and he's going to be one of the best corners. I think he's going to be one of the best cover. I'm just blanking on the name of the position right now. He's gonna be one of the best cover corners, I think, in the league, in slot corners in the league. Like I think that he is going to be, and I mean, it's not going to be just his coverage ability. I think it's the way he plays against the run, the way he rushes the passer. He just comes in with bad intentions, and the guy has a physicality that he way outplays his size. Pause. And then you've got Fred Warner, who is still the blueprint. Fred was all over the place. He had two almost interceptions. That's one thing about this defense is we just cannot find a way to get a pick. We can't find ways to get turnovers. And that's the one thing about this defense that I want to see more. They've got to find ways to get more turnovers. And make it easier for the offense, because the offense just is not where it needs to be. And we're going to go to that a little bit later, but yeah, it's just it's a struggle. So when it's a struggle on offense like that, you've got to find ways to get them in better position, and they quite frequently have to go the entirety of the field. They don't really get a lot of short fields. My number 4 key was with the special team coverage. It's always going to suck. Period, point blank. We just got to live with it. And my number 5 was the drops and the fumbles. I want to get into the drops a little bit, because some of the drops were egregious. Kendrick Bourne honestly should not have a job at this point. Now that Jamarcus, if we didn't have all the injuries if the 49ers did not have all the injuries they have right now, he would have been cut on the way home. He had two egregious drops. CMC had a drop. He had a fumble. There was a couple of other drops. Juwan Jennings had a drop. And I'm not talking about the one in the end zone, like, because I don't really blame him for that one. That was a bad throw by Brock. And did he get his hands on it? Yes, I get it. But it still was a bad throw. There were just so many bad throws by Purdy. He was throwing high across the middle all game long. And it was just at a certain point, he was part of the problem. But where are we at? But it was just this team. It's really, after that game, it's really hard to find some positives to what was going on. I got to talk about the offensive line. The offensive line was, they don't play so bad on pass protection. Because I think what we're going to see when the PFF numbers come out is they were probably half decent in pass protection, but the problem and the reason why they're constantly put in the middle of the pack, I think it's just ridiculous that they're considered a middle of the pack offensive line just because they pass protect a little bit. Their run blocking is terrible. I mean, it's terrible. And has CMC lost a step? Probably. He probably has lost a step. But there are no holes to run through. He's running into brick walls. He's running into brick walls. The only reason why Brian Robinson ended up getting a few yards was because he's just a bigger, more physical back, and he was able to hit the crease a little bit harder than CMC. CMC just isn't as big as him. But CMC obviously has lost a little bit of burst. And when that happens, you got to open holes for the guy. The offensive line just is. It doesn't matter. It used to be you couldn't run to the right. Now we can't run to either side. Because Trent Williams, much as I love Trent to death, like, the age is starting to show. And this is something that I've talked about on this show for the last couple of years. Now, we were begging the 49ers to start drafting some tackles because they needed to get somebody in the pipeline because Trent is getting older. And now we're here. It's here. I wouldn't say Trent is washed, but he is not what we're used to seeing out there. So it's going to be, but definitely the run game, it just looks terrible. And when we're talking about Purdy and the physical limitations, what you absolutely cannot have is him out there playing hurt with his physical limitations already, and then we have an offensive line that can't run block, and we have no running game on top of it. Something has to take the pressure off of Purdy. Purdy is not Pat Mahomes. Purdy is not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not any of those athletic freaks. He's not any of those. So knowing that, and then people are going to say, well, they're paying him. Because they're paying him, he's just got to make it work. That's just, I'm sorry. It's just not realistic. It's not realistic. And you've got to get, the 49ers are going to have to find a way to help him. They've got to find a way to get the running game going. I don't necessarily think that it's possible for them to get the running game going because their offensive line just isn't good enough. I thought it was really interesting that Christian McCaffrey said in his interview after the game that, they're so close. That's something you say that was a lot of stuff that they used to say last year when they only got 6 wins. They're so close. They feel like they're so close to getting over the hump and like turning it around. No, you're not. That's something losers say. I'm sorry. That's just something losers say. Losers are the ones that sit there and talk about, we're almost there. Stay with it. All we need is another week. No, you don't. Because if you need a week, Guess who else is getting better? The other teams in the league are getting better that week as well, which puts you right back to where you were. If you think that you're going to get better, we're in the season now. If you think that the 49ers are going to get better and the other teams just aren't going to get better, I mean, you got to think about you just got to think about it as the tape is out there for the 49ers on what they're going to try and do. They can't run the ball. They can't. Let's look at Christian McCaffrey had 17 carries for 49 yards. 2.9 yards a carry. No touchdowns. Brian Robinson had 5 carries for 21 yards, a little bit better. He had 4.2 yards a carry, but he only had 5 carries. I mean, because, of course, Christian McCaffrey is going to get the bulk of the carries, but also Christian McCaffrey had 6 catches, which means he had, 23 touches? And he had 6 catches and 11 targets. So, I mean, realistically, he would have had over 30 touches. I mean, at a certain point, they're going to have to find another offense other than find every single way to get Christian McCaffrey the ball. Christian McCaffrey is not the player. I'm not going to say he's washed, because I think that if the offensive line was a little bit better, I think that they in the run game, I think that they'd be fine. But the problem is that they don't have their wide receivers are in and out of the game. Ricky Pearsall went out of the game at a certain point, and he was balling before he went out. He was balling, and then he gets hurt. Then you got Juwan Jennings then he starts getting going. No, he gets hurt in the same drive. And now you take both of those guys off the field, and what do you got? Demarcus Robinson, it's his first game back. And then you got CMC. So, I mean, it's forcing the 49ers to force feed CMC, but he's not the same player, so it doesn't have the same effect. And it doesn't matter. One player is not going to beat another team. I'm sorry. It's just not. What makes the 49ers so good, has made them so good in the past, is that they had multiple guys that they had multiple areas where they could hit you from. They had the running game. They had the Brandon Ayuks and the Debos and the Kittles, and it could be anybody that week. And that's the whole point of the offense. And I don't want to poo-poo. There's a couple of guys I don't want. I like what they're doing. Jake Tonjes, I really like. I think he's the number 2 tight end that the 49ers have been looking for a while. They had been wasting their time with the guys that were in the building with the past, I want to say 3 or 4 years. And they were just not able to get that number 2 tight end. I think Jake Tonjes is that guy. Luke Farrell, he belongs as the 3rd tight end. And he just made a bad mistake. But he hadn't been playing so bad before that. I think a lot of fans are mad because of the fumble. But before that, he hadn't been that bad. And he's definitely not a bad blocker. But they desperately miss Kittle. And his blocking. Oh, I got some guys in the chat. I want to give a shout out to Jim Everett the Great. Trent gonna get cooked Thursday. Bring the extra oxygen. And we'll see. We'll see. McNiner in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. What up, Pete? With the game it was really bad. It had to be one of the worst games that I've seen the 49ers play in the Shanny era. And then I'm not even going to play the Ram fan. I'm not even going to put the Ram fan stuff up there. But the yeah, and the McNiner said one game at a time. Yeah, it's gonna be hard when we're talking about one game at a time because the 49ers have so many injuries. And And I keep talking about going back to the injuries, but it's it was rough. It was rough. I mean, like I said, Jaguars didn't do anything special. Um, Brian Thomas was their leading receiver, and with 5 receptions for 49 yards, no touchdowns. Hunter Long had 3 catches. He had a touchdown. But yeah, they didn't. Nobody on this list, even the Travis Hunter, the guy that was full, and I really thought he dropped that one ball, but there just wasn't enough evidence that showed the drop. Um, then who had? And I mean, the Jaguars only had 1 sack. They only had 1 sack. They had 3 tackles for loss. Uh, did the 49ers even have? 49ers had 6 tackles for loss. They just didn't have any sacks. Um, but yeah, it was all the turnovers, the fumbles, and the fumbles and the interceptions, and of course, and the kick return. Um, what was their total yards? Their total yards. Oh my god, are you for real? So the 49ers had more yards than the Jaguars. They had 389 to the Jaguars 325. They had the same amount of drives. 49ers actually beat them in yards per play, killed them in passing yards, but of course they killed us in rushing yards. Um, yeah, it was just penalties. I mean, 49ers even won the penalty battle. They had almost 100 yards in penalties, 12 penalties, 90 yards, to the 49ers, 5 penalties for 54 yards. It just goes back to the turnovers. And they did win time of possession. They had 32 minutes, 32 and a half minutes to the 49ers 27 and a half. But it I'm telling you, I could just it was really hard to watch. It was really hard to watch them get so close and then just be right back, and then just shoot themselves in the foot. They would get close. Oh, we're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot. We're gonna give the ball back to them, and all I can say is that we hope that they got that out of their system. I do think that Mac is going to end up starting this next game against the Rams, which might be a good thing. There's a couple of things with Purdy, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm not going to really go too deep into it. Uh, I think that Purdy is good for Shanny's system. I just don't think that he is an asset when he's hurt. He's not the type of core. He doesn't have the type of physical ability that can get you over the hump when he's hurt. I think that if Mac is healthy enough to go, I think he should be the one to go. Uh, that's just the way I feel about it right now. Until Purdy is healthy, and his toe is right, he can plant and drive the ball downfield. Because until then, it's going to be really hard for Purdy to make the throws that he needs to make. But I do think that Mac is going to end up starting this game. I don't even know if that's going to be a good thing because I think that the 49ers are so depleted at wide receiver. I don't think Ricky Pearsall is going to play this game. I don't know that Jawan Jennings is going to play in this game. So it's going to be Demarcus Robinson, and maybe we might actually get to see Jordan Watkins. And who? Sky Moore? More Kendrick Bourne? It's going to be and of course it's a short game. It's a short week too. So they had three days until that game, and it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, but we're gonna be positive. I'm hoping, we're hoping and praying that the 49ers can cobble together a good enough team. Hopefully Renardo Green is able to play. Hopefully um, Itur, Gross Matos, and who are the other guys? Gross Matos, CJ West is a big one for me. Michael Williams, and this is the problem when you go all in with rookies, is that it goes to show your depth. You really don't have the depth. But Michael Williams, we're hoping he D Winners. I don't know that they can survive without without all those guys. So it's gonna be really difficult. But they're gonna go out there. They're gonna play their best. They're gonna play for all the faithful out there. We're hoping that they can find a way to get another one of these close, ugly wins, because that's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly. And what else was I looking at? But I wanted to see. Oh, shoot. I think this is the one. So where is? Oh, it doesn't show. Oh, they used to show us a lot more than that on. Oh yeah, they do. So this is the thing. This is the stats that I like to talk about. And when we're talking about, it's really about comparing the 49ers to the rest of the teams in the league. And this is this is a glaring statistic. This is why I say the offense is the same thing as it was last year. Um, is that this year their total offensive yards per game, they're fifth in the league. They're fifth. So it's easy for people to say, oh, their offense, it's fine. It's fine. They're moving the ball. There's no problem. But their points per game is 22nd, which means they're moving the ball. But when they get into the red zone, and I'm sure they're probably middle of the pack when it comes to red zone scoring. But I just don't buy it. Passing yards per game, they're second in the league in passing yards a game, which is not where the 49ers want to be. The rushing yards per game, they're 28th in the league. They cannot run the ball. They're only averaging 88 rushing yards a game. Um, time of possession, they're 14th, so they're middle of the pack. They're a little bit better than middle of the pack. Now on defense, points allowed per game, they're sixth. Last year, they were they struggled with the points allowed per game. But even though this offense isn't doing them any favors this year, they're only sixth in they're sixth in points allowed per game. Total yards allowed per game, sixth. Passing yards allowed per game, sixth. Rushing yards allowed per game, because of this last game, it really hurt them. Now they're 17th. But before that, they were pretty high up there too. Sacks, they're 27th in the league in sacks. That's not going to get it done. Interceptions, they're 32nd in the league. They still don't have an interception. But the fact that this defense is holding teams to sixth in points allowed with no interceptions, and they're near the bottom of the league in sacks, I feel like that's a pretty good place to be, because eventually the law of averages is it should come into play at some point. They're gonna get an interception at some point. They're gonna get some sacks at some point. They're gonna play some cream puff teams at some point. And some people would say they've already played a couple, but I think you can look at some of the games at the games that the opponents that they've played. Seattle is not an easy out this year. I talked about Seattle with a bunch of my buddies on Twitter. Seattle is not a bad team, and I don't think that it's hard to say that. Like I think people gotta get caught up in that they're a rival. You can't be honest, but the honest to God truth is Seattle is not a bad team. They're a pretty good team, to be honest. They got a really good defense, I feel, and and Sam Darnold on any given day could be a really good quarterback on any given day. There's going to be days he's not, but he can be on some days. And if he is on the day that you're playing him, it's going to be a rough day because of that defense. So you got them. They played the Cardinals, who are not, and I wouldn't say an easy out. They make some weird mistakes, but they're not too bad, I don't think. New Orleans is kind of a scrappy team. It's kind of a it's they I think they've proven themselves as a pretty scrappy team. Again, they got beat by the Bills this last week. I want to say, but yeah, they're a scrappy team. I don't think that was an easy win, and now we lost to the Jaguars. Now that we should have probably won that game. Of course, we win the one that we probably should have. We lose the one we probably should have won. But now we play the Rams, who it's going to be a tough game. The reality is the Rams are. I believe they have at least one loss. I know they're not undefeated. I know they're not undefeated. Like, yeah, they're 3-1 as well, and tied for first with us. But yeah, they blew out the Titans. They lost to the Eagles, and they barely beat the Colts. So I feel like but they barely beat the Texans, and the Texans. I'm just as surprised as anybody else. The Texans are not a good team, but the but it just goes to kind of show. I think these teams are both in the same spot. Neither one of them. It really. The jury is still out. Jury is still out, I would say. And the 49ers, we'll see. A lot of people are talking about, do they want to trade for a pass rusher? I was talking on X earlier today, and I'm looking at it as, I think it just depends. I think all of this depends on what the 49ers, how the 49ers perceive this team. How do they perceive the team? Is the are they contenders? If the 49ers perceive themselves as contenders, then I could see them going and making a trade. But I don't know that they perceive themselves as contenders. They told you before the season that this is kind of a transition year and that they're going to be just trying to get better and possibly making the playoffs. That they told you that before the season started. And I'm inclined to believe them. I think that I was agreeing with them all because we're putting a lot of trust in young players. We got a lot of rookies and a lot of second year guys that we're trusting. Yes, we do have our the stalwart guys like Warner, Kittle, Purdy, like Trent Williams. But for the most part, we got a lot of young players playing. And can you win with young guys? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. When you got the right mix of veterans and youth, yes, you can win. But at the same time, where the spots where the 49ers are so decimated with injuries that it's going to be really hard for them to. They've got some guys coming back in the next couple of weeks. Like, I mean, well, we're not going to say IU, but you got Malik Mustafa getting ready to come back. You got Kittle getting ready to come back. Hopefully, a couple of those guys can invigorate some juice into this team, and eventually, maybe we might see Brandon Ayuk come back. But I don't think that we're going to see the Ayuk that we've all come to know because he's going to have to work himself into shape. And I don't know what week he's actually going to come back. They said last week that he wasn't close, so I'm thinking maybe week 10, maybe. And by that time, Hopefully it takes him maybe a game or two, and the 49ers are still in it. Like maybe it takes him a game or two to get into the groove and he can start really contributing. But the 49ers got to stay healthy with the guys that they got until then. So there's a lot. It's a lot, and I want everybody to just we're let's not hold our breath, but at the same time, I think the 49ers they have a chance to, because of their strength of schedule, they have a chance to be there. Can the defense keep them in these games? Continue to keep them in these games, because that's what it's going to take. This offense is going to struggle, from what I can see. They can't run the ball. They can't run the ball, and they're even they're not struggling to get yards in the passing game, but they're struggling to score. And so, can they get enough on offense to get them over the hump against some of these teams? We'll see. But yeah, it was a long game. Like, it was a long game. It was actually a really short game, but it just felt for like forever. Uh, but yeah, we got to get another game. Rams Thursday. I'm not making any predictions. I think it's a division game. I still think I don't care that they're probably not as banged up as we are. But I think it's because it's a division game. They're going to find a way to keep it close. It's probably going to be come down to three less than a touchdown, I would say. And the 49ers they deserve that much respect because they've been in every single game. They haven't gotten blown out once. So I think that they'll be in this game. It just comes down to, can they finish? So um, yeah, hopefully we get this much needed division vic. It would be huge to get another division win against the co number one team in the division. So um, with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I hope I wasn't too negative for everybody, but we got to keep it real. We got to keep it real. And like, I don't really give you what you want. I give you what you need. And but remember to give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And yeah, we're going to keep keeping it real. Like, there's a lot to like out of what I see out of these young guys. I don't want to be so negative that we're just talking about the bad stuff. Upton Stout is a man child. I love that kid. Michael Williams has got tons of room to grow. Alfred Collins is a work in progress. D Winters has been all over the field. He had been playing really well until this. He had a couple of bad moments in this last game, but he's been playing well this season. I'm hoping he can stay healthy. There's a lot of positives to come out of this. Like, we've just got to focus on those and hope that this defense can continue to carry the 49ers through. Um, but but yeah, I'll see you guys probably next Monday, and I really appreciate everybody giving a watch. Make sure that you tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. And like, yeah, hit me up on I'm on X, Peter Lucas 8. I'm on Facebook. You can hit me up on Facebook. It's just my name. I'm on Threads. I'm on Bluesky. I'm on everywhere. I'm everywhere. You just look up Peter Lucas and I'll pop up. So it's so make sure that you link up. Like, I love to talk to. I love getting if we can just chop it up 49ers. So you guys have a great evening. It's my wife's birthday today, so I'm gonna get out of here. We're gonna spend some time with the wife, and you guys have a great week. Yeah, you guys have a great week, and as always, it doesn't matter until the wheels fall off. It's always gonna be go Niners.